There's a lot of great news, a lot of buzz about TFC getting ready to kick off the season. The big names we talked about, we don't have to mention them again. We've discussed it for the last 10, 15 minutes. But the elephant in the room to me is simply this. Wonderful job by Lewicki and Bazbachenko. But now, again, this week we hear that possibly Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment are going to buy the Toronto Argonauts, a Canadian Football League team, and move them into BMO. They're going to add more seats. They're going to retrofit it. They're going to make sure that everything is in place so the Argos can come and play in there. To me, this stinks. I don't like it, especially also from a Canadian men's national team aspect. This was a stadium built way back. Yes, I know it was the taxpayers' money. I'm a taxpayer, Toronto, but it was for a World Cup tournament. Now, to me, is going to be the test on how vocal, how loud the supporters like yourself are going to speak to Tim Lewicki and tell him, no, we don't want the Argos there, and no, it doesn't matter how many wonderful researchers that you're going to put in place to show us that it's not going to damage the field. We don't want them. What are you and your supporters going to say when the time does come? It looks like it's inevitable that the Argos are coming to BMO.
Well, we're in direct opposition to it, and not because we don't like CFL football. You know, that's one thing we want to make clear. We want the Argos, you know, they're the oldest franchise in Canada, if not North America. I want them to succeed and continue their success and have their fans enjoy their product. But we don't want them for the same reasons that you just outlined at BMO Field. We feel that it's going to make us the secondary tenant. It's going to ruin the field. There's a high chance of that field not recovering between games and having to deal with these gridiron lines and basically sight lines that are, you know, not acceptable for football, what we have right now. So I know Tim promised us a dialogue. He promised all season's ticket holders that dialogue. My fear at this point is that the dialogue isn't going to happen. It's just going to be empty words, because I hear of Tim Lewicki going down to City Hall and making deals with Norm Kelly and working with the councillors to get this passed or provided under the budget in some fashion. So I think it's empty promises on that end, and it's, you know, his aspirations are clear. They want to have football. They want to bring an NFL franchise at some point, I'm sure, to the city. And this is part of the thing that they have to do, is make sure that the Argos are okay.
My fear is this, Phil. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'll be blunt, as I always am on my show. You know that about me. You're the same as well. When I think of Jermaine Defoe, when I think of Michael Bradley, when I think of if Julio Cesar is still around when this move happens, or Gilberto, they will laugh. They will laugh when they see the transition in between games, in between weeks of CFL field markings and then turning it over to an MLS game for TFC. It's a joke. It shouldn't happen. I'll say it and I'll say it again. Tim Lewicki, God bless you for trying to do a lot of positive for the city of Toronto, but there's Lamport Stadium that's available. Sink 30, 40 million into there. Make that the home of the Argos. It will be a great little home, just like the Montreal Alouettes did in McGill, making that their little home.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it's not anything that we want at BMO Field. We want it to be our own, you know, stadium, and that's the big thing, is that we don't want to be the secondary tenant. I don't think the Argos want to be the secondary tenant in BMO Field either. It just doesn't make sense. You know, their fans are not going to have a good time. They've already moved away from that area once before in the C&E ground. So it's windy. It's not a great place. It's not easy to get to. I think there's a lot of complications when using that BMO Field for the fans that want to get to it. We have a tough enough time as it is, and there's so much competition throughout the year to get into that space, you know, between the acts and all the other events that go on. Parking, access, public transit, everything is not ideal for that situation.